Shaun Johnson has one hand on the Dally M medal. Yes, Shaun Johnson delivered a masterclass last night, even though the Warriors were not impressive. But the fact that the Warriors got it done is big things for Warriors in 2023. And for all Warriors fans, celebrate because you're playing finals football in 2023. And I've got a feeling you're going to be playing a grand final. And there's some few cogs in the chain that have helped the Warriors get to this position, and it may happen today. Yes, Adam Reynolds is out for the Broncos. Yes, big scoop, he is out. As I said in the previous video, the Broncos can make a statement by beating the Cowboys. It's going to be an even bigger statement without Adam Reynolds now. If they can get it done, the Broncos get it done and probably cost the Warriors what all you Warriors fans are hoping for is to come second. Yes. And the way that's going to happen is the Cowboys have to beat the Broncos tonight. Yes. This afternoon. They have to win. Cowboys have to win for the Warriors to have any chance of Broncos slipping up twice, which Broncos with their draw can do it twice. So if they lose this game, the Warriors have to win them all. But if they do it, but yeah, Shaun Johnson is absolutely flying towards the Dally M medal. Payne Haas would have to have a big game today if the Cowboys get it done and Payne Haas doesn't get the points. So I think Shaun Johnson is really pushing towards winning. I think he could win quite easy. It reminds me a bit of Tommy Turbo. Absolutely on fire, dominating, and with the draw they've got, he's got a big opportunity to get Dally M. And I don't want it to be ruined by the RLPA saying, let's boycott the Dally M. Don't do it. I don't know if Johnson will get it, but he absolutely should get close to getting it if he doesn't. Shaun Johnson, to me, is the Dally M medalist. But getting to the Warriors, what's doing there? The Titans play well. Jaden Campbell, how good is he? You could say Cam Pereira pretty much helped the Warriors win the game, to be honest. But the thing I liked about the Warriors, because people are going to say, yes, they should have won by 50. And maybe they should have. But they forward pass from Dylan Walker. That didn't help the cause when they could have got on a big roll and probably would have blown away if that happened, but it didn't. But for me, this is what happens in league. I've seen that Warriors have played before against 12 men and lost. So this is not new territory for the Warriors, but this is the new Warriors. They found a way to win. They didn't put the panic stations, and Shaun Johnson just kicked them to victory. Absolutely outstanding. He was involved in every single try. He was absolutely outstanding, Johnson. He is really, really playing good football. And to be honest, they look like they could be the number 2 team in the comp. Broncos, though, is definitely up there. Don't get me wrong. Reece Walsh can do anything, and Adam Reynolds, similar to Shaun Johnson, similar players. That's probably the only question mark for the Warriors. You could argue that Johnson is our X Factor, even though he's played control. But he is still the X Factor. Have we got much X Factor? People say DWZ, but Chance is a good player, don't get me wrong, a fullback, but he's not an absolute out-and-out, can just win the game by himself. He's more of a role player. So that's the only question mark I have on the Warriors, is if they have the X Factor to win the finals. But I've got a funny feeling we're going to a grand final in 2023. That's relying on, because this is how it is, folks, which I've already talked about on the channel. The Warriors get second, they'll take Broncos on. And vice versa, if they get third, they're going to take the Broncos on. And that's pretty much what's going to happen. I don't see any other team. Storm losing on the weekend. Raiders are just going up and down like a yo-yo. There's no team in that from 4th to 8th, or even 4th to 10th, going boom this year. No, none of them are. Cowboys were their team. Maybe Cowboys can start going again, but I just don't know. They might not even make the finals. There's a big game for them today. But the Warriors, to me, are on their way to the big dance. And I've got a feeling they might end up second. But anywho, how good would Penrith? Yes, Penrith again. I know people are gonna say, but defense wins premierships most of the time, and they are the top defensive team this season. Now, that's why I like the Warriors as a chance to absolutely maybe push the ball over, because Andrew Webster will know them inside out. Yes, he will know the players inside out and understand the intricacies, where the weaknesses are in the team. Now, if he can find a way to get the Warriors to understand it and break down those weaknesses, I know there's not much weaknesses, but where there is weaknesses, if Webster can pull that out, they could be big times ahead for the Warriors. yes, let's get to just a few other things around rugby league at the moment. Obviously the halves dilemmas. There's not many halves going around. So would Aiden Sezer or Blake Austin be a good fit for some clubs just to get some experience as they try to develop some players? To be honest, yes, it would be handy, but I'd rather be going for a Jaden Sullivan or Kyle Flanagan, or even though people say it's not good, I think under the right coaching they can get it done. Sometimes coaches are wanting to win the premiership this year, and I think that's, well, I mean, everyone wants to win the premiership each year, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you got to develop into it. Not everything can just buy themselves a premiership. Maybe the Roosters are the only team that can buy a premiership. But now they got all these individual players, but they're not playing as a team. So that's, coming back to Aiden Sezer and Blake Austin, yes, Raiders, would the Raiders want to bring them back in? I'm interesting to see there, because the Raiders obviously need a 6, so I'm not sure where they're planning on going there. Maybe they think they're too old, but the Dragons could do with an experienced 6. Sezer and Austin with Ben Hunt, I think it would be very good. The Bulldogs, obviously Tigers, especially with this season. Blake Austin has played there before, so maybe there's a homecoming, but they're trying to get Sezer. But on the other flip side, they could just be another Josh Reynolds flop. That's probably the only question you have to ask yourself. Once you play in the Super League for a while, sometimes there might be, it's like Takiaho coming back to maybe the Bulldogs if he does come back. Will he be the same player because of playing over in the Super League? That is the question you got to think about when you sign these players back when they've played for a while. Getting a bit. Yes, but Connor Watson. What's happening with Connor Watson at the moment? Hasn't played all season. Looks like he's not going to play this season. Who would want him? He's a bit of a. He can be a good player, but obviously has had a few injuries throughout his career. The Roosters. Where do you play him? Like, I mean, that's the problem they've got. Roosters have probably got 3 locks in their team. Like, I mean, yes, he can play 14, but can he play hooker? That's where the Roosters really need. They need a hooker, so I'm not sure Connor Watson fits in with Victor Radley and Brandon Smith, who can both play their 13 role, 14, and especially 14 Brandon Smith as well. I'm not sure where that goes there. Connor Watson definitely would be a 14 for the Bulldogs. Could play 13 as well if they need to. Tigers as well could do with him as a 14 option. I think that's where Connor Watson's option, his best players. He can play 13, but at 14 he can cover all the positions pretty much. He can play forward if he has to. I think that's where his future lies. Who else could do with a Connor Watson at the moment? Out of the Raiders could do with a Connor Watson. He'd be a good 14 for them. He'd even be a very good buy for them actually. So there is a few teams they could do with his signature. I mean, he could stay at the Roosters, but the Roosters, I don't know. They're 2 top heavy fullbacks. I mean, I know Suoliki, I don't know if he's going, but if he goes, but you still got Jason Munna and James Tedesco. I mean, it's proven to see that. I think, I don't know, Joey Manu had his chance to go to the Warriors, as I've said a few times, but he decided not to, and he might be regretting that decision right now. But yeah, that's what's happening at the moment. Who needs the Rabbitohs need to really put in a big performance. It's a big game for them as well. The Sharkies are going to be right up. There's some big games coming up this weekend because there's no the Rabbitohs need to get on a roll if they want to win the comp. So the Sharks need to get a win. That's the biggest thing for the Sharks. Get a win. That's all the Sharks need to do is get a win, and then they're back in the hunt. That's all they need to do. The Sharks are probably 2 wins away from making the finals. Like, I know how we've still got like a month of footy to go. They probably only need 2 more because the way the games are going is just up and down. People beating each other. So it's an interesting couple of weeks coming up because I think we're going to see a few teams drop away and get a bit more clearer. But we're still going to have that little fight at the bottom of the table. There's going to be a few teams there, but see the Titans losing there. They're just about out the door, or they are out the door, I'd say. Dolphins could be out the door if they don't get the win this week. So there's some interesting games coming up. Parramatta need to win by 50. Parramatta fans, they need the biggest score as possible this week because they got some tough games to come up. They got to try and get their for and against up because they're going to obviously still need a win as well. But they need a big one, try and push themselves into the top 8 and then go from there because they got the Panthers and some other good teams coming up. So it's going to be a big game. But anyway, that's me from the Barry Charles Footy Show. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's very much appreciated having all of you here, and we look to grow this channel. Have a lovely day out there and enjoy your footy. And if your team's playing over the weekend or you've already had a win, well done. If your team's lost, there's always next week. Love the footy. Have a great day out there.